Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Mindmap. Today's topic of discussion is Model Code of Conduct, that is MCC. First of all, we will discuss about its introduction. Then we will discuss about evolution of Model Code of Conduct, restrictions imposed during MCC, legality of MCC, and lastly, criticism of MCC. First of all, moving on to the introduction of the topic. The MCC, that is Model Code of Conduct, is a set of guidelines issued by the ECI to regulate political parties and candidates prior to elections. It helps EC in keeping with the mandate it has been given under Article 324 of the Constitution, which gives it the power to supervise and conduct free and fair elections to the Parliament and state legislators. The MCC is operational from the date on which the election schedule is announced until the date of the result announcement. Now moving on to its evolution. The origin of the MCC lies in the assembly elections of Kerala in 1960, when the state administration prepared a code of conduct for political actors. Subsequently, in the Lok Sabha elections in 1962, the ECI circulated the code to all recognized political parties and state governments, and it was wholeheartedly followed. It was in 1991, after repeated flouting of the election norms and continued corruption, the EC decided to enforce the MCC more strictly. Now let's discuss about the restrictions imposed during Model Code of Conduct. The Model Code of Conduct contains 8 provisions dealing with general conduct, meetings, processions, polling day, polling booths, observers, the party in power, and election manifestos. As soon as the code kicks in, the party in power, whether at the center or in the states, should ensure that it does not use its official position for campaigning. Hence, no policy, project, or scheme can be announced that can influence the voting behavior. The party must also avoid advertising at the cost of the public exchequer or using official mass media for publicity on achievements to improve chances of victory in the elections. The code also says the ministers must not combine official visits with election work or use official machinery for the same. The ruling party cannot use government transport or machinery for campaigning. Political parties or candidates can be criticized based only on their work record, and no caste and communal sentiments can be used to lure voters. Holding public meetings during the 48-hour period before the hour fixed for the closing of the poll is also prohibited. The 48-hour period is known as election silence. The idea is to allow a voter a campaign-free environment to reflect on events before casting her vote. Parties must inform the local police authorities of the venue and time of any meeting in time to enable the police to make adequate security arrangements. Now let's have a look at the legality of MCC. Though the MCC does not have any statutory backing, it has come to acquire strength in the past decade because of its strict enforcement by the EC. Certain provisions of the MCC may be enforced through invoking corresponding provisions in other statutes such as the IPC 1860, CRPC 1973 and RPA 1951. In 2013, the Standing Committee on Personal Public Grievances, Law and Justice recommended making the MCC legally binding and recommended that the MCC be made a part of the RPA 1951. However, the ECI argues against making it legally binding. According to it, elections must be completed within a relatively short time or close to 45 days, and judicial proceedings typically take longer. Therefore, it is not feasible to make it enforceable by law. Lastly, moving on to criticism of MCC. First is ineffectiveness in curbing malpractices. The MCC has failed to prevent electoral malpractices such as hate speech, fake news, money power, booth capturing, voter intimidation, and violence. ECI is also challenged by new technologies and social media platforms that enable faster and wider dissemination of misinformation and propaganda. Next is lack of legal enforceability. MCC is not a legally binding document and relies merely on moral persuasion and public opinion for compliance. Interference with governance. MCC imposes limitations on policy decisions, public spending, welfare schemes, transfers, and appointments. ECI is often criticized for applying the MCC too early or too late affecting development activities and public interest, and lack of awareness and compliance. It is not widely known or understood by voters, candidates, parties, and government officials. Now is the time for practice questions. First of all, prelims-based question. Consider the following statements with reference to Model Code of Conduct. 1. The Code of Conduct does not have any statutory basis. 2. The Model Code of Conduct comes into force immediately on announcement of the election schedule by the Commission. 3. The objective of MCC is to ensure that the party in power is not able to use public money to improve its electoral prospects. Select the correct statements from the codes given below. 1 and 3, 2 and 3, 3 only, or all are correct. And now mains practice. Discuss the role of the Election Commission of India in the light of evolution of the Model Code of Conduct. So that's all for today. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching. For more informative content, like, share and subscribe. And do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.